And here we are. Welcome to the show. I am happy you are all here. My name is Anthony Barocas. I am here in my home studio in the Dallas area in Texas in the United States. And because I know that this show goes everywhere around the world, we've had people from India, Israel. Oh, I got to turn my computer down because it's playing the sound. Hang on a second. There we go. Sorry about that. We are on LinkedIn today, and that was LinkedIn playing because you have to actually go to LinkedIn because there's no API built into the YoloBox yet. You have to go over to LinkedIn. You have to hit the start stream button. So I started the stream and didn't hear anything until like I started talking, and then I heard myself talking, so I had to turn that off. So yes, I have a lot of screens in front of me, and I have 3 cameras in front of me, a camera over top of me. I've got 2 YOLO boxes. I've got a computer over here. So today's show is going to be an adventure because as we talked about before, today's show is going to be about remote guests in the YOLO box, which for those who don't know, the remote guest feature is something that is built into every YOLO box. And if I go to my if I go to this one, no, I'll go to the overhead. If I go to this one, you should still hear me. Okay, so I'm using, let me just go back over here. I'm using audio follows video today. So I apologize if I click the wrong overhead button, and if it goes to just the overhead camera, which has no audio, then you're not going to hear any audio. So let me know in the comments. I apologize early. But I have sort of worked my way around that. But I have to use audio follows video because I want you to hear the audio from this YOLO box. This is the one that I'm actually doing the remote guest on. And as you can see, I've got my main camera, which is right here. And I've got another camera, which is over here, which is actually a phone calling in as a remote guest, which is how it can say AB down at the bottom here. AB is, well, it's me, but it's calling in, and I'm going to show you how to do that, how to call in and things like that, and how to audio manage. Plus, as a special treat, if you message me on Facebook Messenger and let me know your email, because it's just between you and me, it's a direct message. Let me know your email. I can send you an invite from here. So, Vicky, if you're watching today, let's chat. Or, hey, if there's any pineapples in Hawaii, let's chat. This is our opportunity. So the reason audio follows video is working with this overhead camera is because over here I have a picture-in-picture of me. And because me from my main input is on the screen, the audio follows the video. But if I take that away, then there's no audio following the video because this camera is just a dumb camera. Where is that? This camera is a dumb camera and it does not have audio with it. But first, let us greet everyone who has tuned in early. I appreciate you all. Viscarama Live is saying, how are you? I am doing very good today. Luya TV is tuned in, and not only tuned in, but tuned in from Kenya, East Africa. So I love getting Africa stations. There's a lot of people streaming in Africa. This is very, very cool. And I think the YoloBox is probably a really good tool because it's so compact, easy to use. Plug it in, cellular, whatever. David Peterson asks, what is the charge input max, Pro or Ultra? It's a 3 amp input from USB over USB-C, but you can take a USB-A to USB-C, and the Ultra, the Pro, the Mini, the Original, the InStream are all 3 amps. So if you plug it into a 2.4 amp charger, it's not going to do a good job. 3 amps. Do David Pedersen notice that I was eating M&Ms? Yes, I needed a little bit more energy to get started for today's show because it just happens to always happen at lunchtime. It's 12 p.m. here in Texas, and I would normally have lunch, but I do the show. Marcus says, hello from Finland. So, hello from Finland. David Peterson also chimes in and says, YOLO is so cool. It makes anyone a TV station news anchor. Pretty much. pretty much. And I've got the cool News Anchor microphone to prove it today. This microphone, just to clarify, this is not my normal microphone, and this is not the microphone you're hearing now. You're hearing my desk microphone, and this microphone is connected to my remote guest camera, so that when I switch to that, I'm not using the crappy phone microphone. I actually added a better microphone. You know, you could use a you know, any number of 2.4 gig wireless microphones. There's dozens and dozens. Everybody apparently makes them now. Rode, you know, did a great job. I think Samson came out with the 2.4 gig mic first, the any mic or mini mic or ME or something like that, and it was okay. But Rode took that and ran with it, and now everybody else has jumped into the fray, and you know, they all follow. They let one person do it, and then once they see, oh wow, there's a market for that, everybody else follows, which is the way technology works. As I said before, potential guests can message me on Facebook, and that's my name. So if you want to be a potential guest, you can message me on Facebook, and I actually have it open right here to keep track of how many people are just trying to be a part of today's show. Nobody yet. So monitoring the live is the best. Well, I appreciate you saying that. And this is David makes a great point. This is a live show. The whole point of doing this live and not pre-recorded is that you get to drive the show. You get to ask a question, and if I can't answer it, I'll try and figure it out. And if we can't figure it out, we'll know that we can't figure it out. You get to drive the show with your questions live. I've done tests and experiments just to try and answer a question live, and very seldom do you get that most anywhere else. Water Wheel Studios says hello from Trinidad. I should come down there sometime. That would be great. Sports Game says hello from Greece. And again, like I said, this is worldwide. If you haven't already chimed in and let me know where you're watching from, do so in the comments. I get the comments from both YouTube and Facebook, so you don't have to go to one or the other. If you are on LinkedIn, I put a link to YouTube in the comments there, so go over. If you just want to watch, you could just watch. But if you want to comment and have your comments be part of the show or ask a question that I can see, that'll have to be on YouTube or Facebook until YoloLive adds more third-party APIs into the YoloBox. I was doing Twitch. I think I actually never got a comment from Twitch, except for one time when somebody jumped from YouTube to Twitch just to comment and say I commented from Twitch. So aside from that, I've never gotten a comment on Twitch. And I found out today when I was poking around that since I don't really use Twitch, the videos are gone. Like as soon as they're done, it's like a live only thing. Unless you pay, then they can stay for a week. And if you pay more, they can stay for a couple weeks. And I'm just like, yeah, don't need to. So I am on LinkedIn today. Pierpaolo Mazzula says, I'm interested in understanding how to manage the guest's audio. And that is the key. That is really the key. Oh, I've got my first instant message. Yay. I can't read the name. I apologize, but hello from Sofia, Bulgaria. See, like I said, this is worldwide. We have people around the world who are using the YoloBox, who may be interested in the YoloBox, or who just want to watch this show and are chiming in, even from Arkansas, as far away as Arkansas. And if you've ever tried to drive there, it is far away. David says, I wish it would run the DJI Fly app. Yeah, it's already, like if my camera freezes, it's because I've got 3 different inputs in this thing. I've got green screen going, I've got overlays going, I've got a lot of stuff going on the show YoloBox. So if the camera freezes, it's because the CPU is doing too much. Don't ask it to also run other applications. That's the key thing. We're using these tools well, I'm like right here today. So every now and then I may hit that. And I do that on computers too. I've done shows on the computer, and you know, I go in there and the client says I want 3 cameras and we're going to have 1 feed coming in over NDI. Okay, great. And then I get there and it says, okay, well, we need an extra output, and I've got a 4th camera to capture the laptop, and we want to bring in a second NDI feed. And now the computer that I bought for this level of use with enough headroom is now being asked to do this level of use. And if you've ever used a computer, every now and then it goes and does stuff on its own, just probably like Android and everything else. And all of a sudden my usage level smashes into 100%, and that's never good. And all of a sudden it starts dropping frames on a desktop PC. Well, the same with an Android tablet. An Android tablet is already much more limited in computing capability, because you can't rip it out, rip it open and say, oh, I'm going to install double DDR RAM and all this other stuff. And so don't ask it to do other apps. Kirk Riley is in Dallas, Texas. I'm just going to leave that one alone. Social media is so over advertised today. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I agree. Once again, if you're watching today's show is all about, not all about, we can answer any streaming questions, any YoloBox questions, but the key topic for this show is remote guests and cameras into the YoloBox. So like I says, if you want to be part of the experiment, the live experiment, when we try to use this live on the air today, send me your email in Facebook Messenger, not on YouTube or in the comments here, because, I just want, you send it to me as opposed to posting it into the comments where then everybody has your email. But hey, if you're okay with that, you're okay with that. David says, I think the charge limit is 15 watts. 3 amps times 5 volts, 3 times 5 is 15. So about that. It might take a little more. I don't know. There's not a fast charge on the YoloBox like on some cell phones. They'll take 45 watts and supercharge, although that would be kind of cool. Oitzi Seyagomo. I apologize. Botswana. David Pedersen, we work. I don't know. We might work. California. Martin Anderson says, hello from Bogota, Colombia. See, South America. Awesome. I'm getting all the continents in here. Here in Bulgaria, invite guests does not work, while in Greece, Romania, and Austria, it works. Do you have any information why? That is a question I do not know the answer to. I am an end user. I do some of the English language training for YOLO Live, but I am not part of the engineering team. I don't know where the different servers are that handle this, and there may be restrictions with regards to that. So that would be my I don't really know answer, but I'm just going to be honest with you and not make something up. But I think that's the answer, but I don't really know. So thank you for that question. I have the YoloBox Pro, but I need help with sound balancing. Yes, that is, audio is the hardest thing because you can't see it. You can tell when a camera is not working, but you can't see when audio is not good. And there's actually, if you go to YouTube, let's go to my laptop. Let's go here so I can keep my my voice on. 1, 2, 3. Yep. And so you can see I'm watching. But if you go to YouTube, there is a whole bunch of tech tips. And if we scroll down here, I want to charge. That's the 3 amp question. Cameras for streaming. How to add a scoreboard, with multi-views, graphic overlays, how to do audio mixing, and 7 places in this whole chain that can ruin your audio. It's mastering each and every step of the way. That is key. And I mean, I can actually illustrate this right now because I am using a lavalier microphone. Let me go back to main camera. I'm using a lavalier microphone, and on the microphone, there's a gain setting. If this is set too loud and I talk loud, it'll overmodulate right here. And it doesn't matter what level you set after this. If you mess up the audio here, it's messed up all the way through. So you have to get this level right. And then I have a receiver. Yes, I'm going old school today. I have a receiver. Oh, I do have enough cable. Sweet. And on the receiver, yes, this is a VHF microphone at 100 megahertz, not a UHF, not a 2.4 gig. I'm going old school. But you can see my voice right there. And there's an output level on this device. Here's the second place. It could be too loud. All right, we're going to put that down. And then there's an input device on the phone that has a gain setting. That's the third place that the level can be set wrong. And we haven't even gotten to the YoloBox yet. So I could have the audio completely messed up in 3 different places, and it hasn't even touched the YoloBox. So very often people are like, yeah, my audio sounds awful. Why does the YoloBox audio sound awful? I could have awful audio and not even be using a YoloBox, but because I've messed up one of those settings. So check out that video, and then I also have a video in Streaming Media, which is a magazine I write for, called Audio Ninja. So if you just look for Audio Ninja and Barocus, it should show up on YouTube. Chris Kalani says, aloha from Maui. How you doing? Julie Newman Turner says, hey from the UK, don't go giving YOLO a reason not to add mix minus. I'm not. Mix minus is a great thing. It would be awesome if it worked. And technically, that is the trick I'm using today to make remote guests work. Mix minus. However, there's no mix minus built into the YoloBox. So what I'm doing is I'm using the mix minus that is built into the remote guest's camera, which I'm pointing over here, but it's actually that thing right there. That is the other camera. It's a phone on a stand. And apparently that stand is connected to my table. So when I bang the table, it shakes the camera. So David Peterson says, I cannot find you. I am, oh, no, wait, you found me. Yeah, found you finally. He found me. I have an issue. Any chroma key, it's not clear, won't be allowed podcast. I'm using YOLO InStream, and I can using my microphone and the into USB Rode. Okay, there's like 3 different questions in there. The chroma key is not clear. Well, I can show you. Let's go to the overhead right here. The key thing with chroma key is your background has to be very even. And then, like I'm doing this is the background. This is what the camera sees. This is on the YoloBox that's down here in front of me. This is what the camera sees. And then I just go into here. I say key, boom, gone. And my key is very clear. But the key for a good key is having a good clean camera feed, bright light, and making sure the background is evenly lit. Because if it gets darker down the bottom, which mine originally did, but then I added, you can kind of see some lights on my arms. There's 2 lights down here that light the bottom of the backdrop that would normally not be very well lit because my main light is above me, so it falls off as you come down. So by doing that, you can still see it gets a little bit darker, and if I stand really close to it, you can see the shadows. You can see the multiple shadows. But if we turn that key back on, that's pretty good, even with the shadows. So it's all about, chroma key is all about lighting, and then also about camera and everything else. But it's really about making sure you have a bright, vibrant, flat green or blue backdrop that you're keying. No wrinkles. I mean, I may have some wrinkles. I get a few wrinkles over here. I should fix that. But they're not wrinkly enough that is causing a problem. So that is what I would recommend in terms of getting your key to key. Reaction YouTube says, greetings from Chicago. Greetings. Robert Linkron, I must have touched it twice, says, greetings from Seal Beach, California. We've got Waco, Israel is coming in from Israel. Hello, hey, Uriah. Hello from the westiest city in Israel, Ashkelon. It's just bouncing around. I don't know why it's doing that. Texas here, having issues using ScoreStream in my broadcast. Yeah, bringing in web sources is still a little rough. Wow. Okay, where did Nairobi, Kenya go? I'm gonna have to go real fast because there's so many comments coming in. It's actually bouncing around. Good evening from the UK, from Peter J. Miller. Jeff Spear says Panama City Beach, Panama. Oh, Florida. Sorry. Oh. Martin Anderson is in Bogota, Colombia. Normally in Melbourne, Australia, so don't get to participate live. It's 3 a.m. in Melbourne to the minute. Wow. Carlos Phoenix says good morning. Stop moving around. Greetings from SLP, Mexico. Well, greetings to you, Guillermo. Hope I said that close. Will you stop moving around? Can I create an overlay in third-party software, Keynote or Adobe, save to SD card and run it on YoloBox Pro? Yep, just make it a PNG with an alpha channel. A clear channel, you can bring them on. Yeah, absolutely. I use a Galaxy Tab as a daily driver. It's a superb piece of kit. Yes, it probably is. Wolfgang says, greetings from Germany. Greetings to you. Tatiana Music says, hello. We have St. Mary's in Georgia. How to add the remote guest. That's what everybody's excited about the remote guest thing, but I want to make sure I appreciate everybody who's coming in. Samuel Dickey says Luxembourg. Roger Leon is in Norway. Rune is in northern Norway. So I got 2 Norways. That's pretty cool. I was just up in Amsterdam, not too far from you. Ed says, excited for this episode because remote guest has never been successful on my end. Tried even with good bandwidth, but the choppiness never really went away to the point I lost viewers. Stop jumping around. I'm touching it. John King's Elias says, Kenya is connected. Yes, you are. What is the USB input resolution? I can't get it to look good. I would think it's probably 720p. If you're using a UVC adapter, it's probably 720p webcam resolution. You've got echo. Echo. A little bit. It's because these headphones are super loud. I don't know why. Vincent John Ree says hello from United Kingdom. Does the overlay lab use a lot of bandwidth? I don't think it does. I don't have the people symbol to invite guests, so how do I add a guest? The people symbol. You have to be set up in streaming mode, and that is a great segue to coming over here and doing this. Okay, so I am in this show, but let me back out, which of course I'm going to lose my guest. That's fine. And you know, when you create a show, you can go in monitor mode or create a live stream. You have to be in streaming mode because if you're in monitor mode, what it does is it tells the YoloBox that I'm not connected to the internet. Turn off all those things. So if I go into monitor mode, you'll see streaming is off, remote guest is off, there's no bonding icon, there's no comments icon. So all of those pieces that would normally be part of a streaming show are turned off in monitor mode. So let me come back out of this. Done. I'm going to go back into the show that I created. And then this one, it's a streaming show, and you can see the bonding icon is here, the streaming, and this is the remote guests. So I'm going to, first thing is you have to allow participants to join. I don't really understand the concept of having it turned off, but it's there. If you leave this off, people will try to connect and be told there's nothing there. So I guess maybe you might want to do a live show but not let people on until a certain time. Okay, I can get that. So you got to turn that on. And then I say mute guests audio by default. I'm not going to do that because what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on audio follows video. And what that means is when I bring a remote guest up, then their audio is on. If they are not in the picture, their audio is off. This is the one time audio follows video is really, really handy. And I am happy to admit that. I'm happy to say, you know what? This is where it really is important. Most of the time, if you're just doing a camera switch, you don't want audio to follow video. And I actually had on my regular YoloBox over there, I had to go through like a special wonky workaround to make sure that I could still switch cameras to get this audio when I wanted it, but also so you could still hear my voice when I'm talking, which is why this little icon is here, so that my camera is still in the shot and audio follows this video. That's why. All right, so we're going to come over here and we're going to invite guests. And what you would do is you would type in a guest's email, which I will do momentarily. I will use my cell phone and I will get people's emails. Ooh, let's see. I've only have one person who has messaged me on Facebook Messenger who wants to be part of the show. Interesting. But it's open to whomever would like to try and join. But you have to find me on Facebook Messenger. We got a good audience today. And what I have done here is let me exit out of this. Or you can send the link to yourself via email and then send it out via that way too. But let me just go back in. Being able to send the link from here and have them connect without using a computer is an amazing feature. I mean, honestly, normally it's like, you know, you have to like create something on the computer and then send out the links and no. This is a tablet that can invite multiple people to be part of a produced show. And while there may be other tablet solutions coming to the market that look at the, you know, the 6-year head start that YoloBox has had, and there are features that they're not going to have for several years. So being able to send the email directly from here is very cool. It's like you never even set up email, but yet whoosh, it goes out. So I'm going to cancel that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh my phone browser. Come on. And allow. I'm going to go through this process, the other end of the process with you in a minute. And then I'm going to type in my initials, A, B, and then there I am. So this is a cell phone. And this is my main camera. And that is how I have a remote guest hooked up in the show. Now, here's the key thing. If you have audio follows video and I'm on my main show, here we go. I cut to this one. Now, just the remote guest is live with the audio. If I cut back to me, now just my camera has live audio. The preview is very low resolution. Don't worry about that. When you bring it up, it'll refresh and pull a high resolution feed from the guest camera. And I can even, let me check. I'm going to listen to my, oh, not that one. I'm going to listen over here. I got 2 sets of headphones. And if I bring that up, hello. So this is the audio from the remote guest. And what you're seeing here is slightly choppy feed. I can see that as well. Like here's my main camera is over here on your left. And then this is the remote guest. I don't know why it's so choppy. And what I usually find is whatever connection it made to get through the web, sometimes I get good connections, sometimes not good connections. But if I switch between my remote guest camera and this camera, you can hear the difference between the mic down here, not that one, and this mic, but not that one. So you can see how the audio switches with you switching guests. If you need to hear both guests, then creating a source, actually, let me go to my overhead. We'll do a split view, this one, and this one, and then, yeah, that's fine. Now, if you go to this, it'll bring up both audios, as you can see. Now, what you're hearing now is this audio coming from my main microphone. not from here. If I go to this feed, this will be
This will be
interesting.
interesting.
You're
You're
hearing
hearing
both
both
the
the
direct
direct
mic
mic
and the
and the
remote
remote
guest
guest
mic.
mic.
The
The
difference
difference
in the
in the
timing
timing
is the
is the
difference
difference
between the
between the
microphone
microphone
a
a
foot
foot
away,
away,
going
going
electrically
electrically
right
right
into
into
the
the
camera,
camera,
and
and
the
the
remote
remote
guest
guest
camera
camera
going
going
through the
through the
internet,
internet,
coming all
coming
the way
all the way
back, and
back,
then
and then
coming
coming
into
into
the
the
YoloBox
YoloBox
through the
through the
internet.
internet.
So
So
that
that
timing
timing
is pretty
is
darn
pretty darn
close.
close.
And you can
And you
see
can see
how,
how,
ooh,
ooh,
can't really
can't
listen
really
to
listen
that.
to that.
You can see how the audio or the video resolved itself. So the internet is something that we don't have control over. And bringing in remote guests is just fraught with difficulties, and I'm going to tell you that up front. There is no perfect solution to bringing in remote guests over the internet. So much so that even though there are multiple cloud solutions, there's StreamYard, and Restream has a studio, and Zoom can record, and there's all these cloud solutions. And even they are not reliable enough for remote guests. Everybody's remote connection is dependent upon a dozen different things. So other solutions have evolved to work around the fact that the internet sucks. Like if you are in StreamYard and you pay for a high enough package, you then get remote recording. Or if you pay for a service called Riverside, you get what they call remote recording. So we're all doing this show together, but I'm actually recording your camera on your computer, and then when we're done, it's going to push the file, the actual recorded file with no drop frames, over the internet to me. It's basically copying the local recording. Why does it do that? Why are there multiple companies that provide this local recording as opposed to just a perfect recording on the receiving end? Because very often a perfect recording on the receiving end is really, really hard and is not reliable. So that's why all these companies have come up to serve this market where we need the video to be reliable. We'll do the interview, but then give me the recording that was recorded locally, because there's always a glitch, a drop in resolution and things like that. And the same is going to be, it's going to be the same for the YoloBox. You know, you cannot reinvent the wheel. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to invite a guest. Okay, I'm not going to show you their email because they emailed it to me. I apologize if it's a little quiet. It's a lot of letters. Couldn't have a shorter email, could you? And I probably typed it in wrong. And we'll see if this works. Oh, yep, I spelled it wrong. There we go. All right. And then I'm going to say send. And then in order to be able to hear what I'm doing, I'm going to use the headphones that are connected to the phone that I'm using as a remote guest. This is the remote guest. So now what I'm able to do is I am waiting for David to join the show first thing, and he will appear here when he gets everything situated on his end. And I only hear the remote guest. I don't hear myself, because now I am basically using the remote camera as the remote guest. And anybody dialing in from a cell phone, a tablet, or a computer, or whatever, they don't hear themselves. That's part of the WebRTC protocol that's being used. And in so doing, that enables us to leverage the mix minus that is right here in this phone. And this way, I'm not hearing myself. I'm able to have a conversation, and when someone joins, I can bring them onto the show. And again, I said if you wanted to try and be part of today's show, we are doing this live. Nothing has been pre-recorded and put together ahead of time. We're doing this live. Invitation was just sent out, hopefully to the right address. And if you would like to be part of today's show, where is it? Trying to find nope, yeah, that one, not that one. Here it is. Potential guests can message me on Facebook Messenger. And that way it'll pop up on my phone. It's just to me. Your email address is not going out to the public. And then I can type it in and send you an invite. Now, the whole process, let's just say I wanted to do this. I have the overhead right now. We're waiting for our first guest to join. I have another cell phone right here. And it's going to ask me to log in. Actually, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to quit the browser. I'm going to quit. Great job, Apple. Come on, trying to quit all these things. Okay, I got nothing running. And now what I'm going to do is, as if I don't have email on this, so I'm just going to use another way to share it. I'm going to share the connection via the iPhone that I'm using. And this does work on Android. I'm clicking the share button. I'm clicking the share button. It's just totally ignoring me. There we go. Man. I want to share it to my phone. There it goes. And then, so here's the invitation, and I say go. Now, you are joining a live streaming event. To join the live event, click on the camera icon, check the always allow, click done, and then reload the page. So what we need to do is click reload, and then we say allow. The people have to allow the device to hear. So here's me. You can change the camera. So you can go in the settings and say camera. You can say the front camera, the back camera, the telephoto camera, the ultra wide camera. You can choose the camera, okay? But we're going to use the front camera just so that I can keep seeing the interface. Audio, you can choose the iPhone microphone. This is where I was able to select the external microphone that I have plugged into the other phone. David still hasn't showed up. And then this way, front camera 1080p. If you have a guest who's having a little bit of trouble with connecting, you can come in here and say, hey, you know what, connect at 720p. Confirm. You can always go back in there and change those settings. They can name themselves. I can kind of call this phone. And I say join event. And you will see the phone, which is always loud, and I cannot get it to stop doing that, is now down here. And I can take this, have a different background, and this is the remote guest. And then down at the bottom, they can mute, they can stop the camera, it goes black, they can go in and change the settings, and they can leave. And when they leave, they're gone. And that is how you send, this is how it's received, and how they become part of the show. So that is pretty much the remote guest feature in a nutshell. I haven't had anybody else say that they want to be a potential guest. I'm surprised. I'm sort of sad. Come on. I challenge somebody else to join the show. We shall see how well this works. I say done. I'm done sharing. I'm done doing this. I'm just going to refresh this. A, B, join. I'm just refreshing that. And then this will replace that in a second. And if you have additional questions with regards to the remote guest feature, hey, this is the time to ask them, because we are talking all about the remote guest. Here's my remote guest, and here's my main camera. and I can delete the split view because the devices have changed. And I have two guests here. I am using audio follows video to automatically switch the audio between both of them, or if I have two people on. And remember, there's also a 3 across. Now, you can add up to 5 remote guests, and I made a video on doing remote guests. I made up to 5 remote guests. You can have up to 5 remote guests, and there's only 3 across. So you have to have like multiple 3s, I guess. There's no way to have a screen of 4, and there's no way to have a screen of 5. So that is sort of a limitation, and that may change. You know, with the new Ultra, if you don't already know, if with the new Ultra that has 4 HDMI inputs, there could well be additional updates to the multi-view solutions that are available to handle the fact that there are 4 possible HDMI inputs in addition to other things. I've got a second willing guest. Let us see if we can send out another invite. Make sure you're not looking while I type this in. Oh my goodness. Alejandro. Alejandro. Helps if I can spell. No, spelled it wrong. At all right. So we're going to send that. Email sent successfully. And we shall see what we shall see. And it's an interesting feature to have built into a tablet, because remember, if you're doing something like this with Facebook and you can have a multiple person, I don't even know if they still do that. You're not really doing it in Facebook. It's happening in the cloud. It's another cloud solution. This, however, is literally happening on the tablet, which is how you're able to adjust the audio level for different people. Somebody's microphone might be louder than somebody else's. And you can go in there, and every remote guest, hey, there he is. Look at that, guest 27. Let's see. I will do a side-by-side with my camera next and Alejandro, and say done, and then we go to that. And there we go. And I can hear Alejandro, and hopefully Alejandro can hear me. And this is how we do a show. This is what the show sounds like. Now I'm outputting our show to the other YoloBox so the audience can see that I have 2 people up. I have, if I go to my audio mixer, I have AB and guest 27. I don't know. Did you type in guest? Did you type in your name in the guest thing?
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry about that.
No, there's no worries. I was just wondering, like, if it ignored you and said, "Nah, you're just going to be guest 27."
I think that's what it did.
So this is how we can have 2 people, and I appreciate you jumping in there. Where are you at right now?
Pico Rivera, California, and I'm at McGee Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Well, I could definitely see you've got a lot of gear behind you. I see some lights, and
Yep.
how do you control lighting when you have such big bay windows?
Very tough. We have about 2 sets of lighting, and the kids work it out pretty well. They work with it. We have the overhead lighting as well, so it all gets done.
So yeah, it looks like you're doing a good job there. And is the YoloBox one of the solutions that you work with the kids, or is that something you're
Yeah,
investigating?
right there.
All right.
Kind of in that corner there. So the kids use the YoloBox 3 days a week.
Wow. So
Yeah.
they produce shows for the school, or just
Yes. Yep.
in-class stuff?
No, it's kind of a news type of show, and it goes out to YouTube 3 days a week.
That is very cool. And it's probably, oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera. I should look over here. My
There you go.
apologies. Hey, I'm not used to doing a remote show with remote guests, and I'm looking in the wrong place.
That's all right.
Um, so that sounds really cool, and it's very interesting that you have jumped on it and you're teaching these kids because I just did a walk through a high school and they had a big broadcast switcher and a big broadcast mixer and everything, and I was like, the world is becoming mobile. You know, the
Yeah.
technology has advanced that, you know, kids are going to like go from that and like, you know, then somebody's going to be like, well, this is what I've got. Do you know how to use tablets for mixing? I'm like, there's lots of solutions out there and there's more coming out every day that if you're not nimble and able to handle like, hey, this is a tablet that does it all, you might be left behind.
Yeah, we're as soon as that Ultra Cut came out, I was like, "Oh, I really need to get that," but that's a little bit pricey, and not it's hard to be in our price range. But the admin here at the school has been really good, and we were able to purchase the YoloBox Pro this past last school year, and the kids trained on it a little bit at the end of the year, and then we started using it this year.
Yeah, how does training go with the YoloBox? I kind of think it's not that much training as opposed to like a big broadcast switcher and other tools.
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, they're elementary kids. They're elementary school age, so you got to take it really slow. But also just let them play with it, let them use it. That's my biggest thing is you guys are gonna mess it up, and everything's set for you guys. And if you want to set other things, ask me, and I'll show you, and we'll get it done. So they like to play around with it. When obviously we're not doing broadcasts, they want to add their own things, and I'm like, okay, let's check it out and let's see how it works.
Exactly, and you know that's one of the things I try to do in this show too. It's sort of like I don't know, you know, I can't break it by pushing the buttons on the software. So if I don't know something, I'm just going to try and see if there's a way to make something work. And I think that really does demonstrate that with these tools, you know, the best way to learn is to do a show, do a fake show, do a mock show and record it and figure the tools out for yourself because you might be surprised what it can and can't do, or like, oh wow, I didn't know it could do that.
Yeah, so I think one of my big things, and I've been listening to you for a few minutes now, um, doing the sound and trying to get the sound in. And since everything's coming through a soundboard that we use, it's I'm thinking if we do it that way, we're going to hear a lot of the newscaster is going to hear a lot of echoing back and forth. And so I'm trying to figure out how to go about doing that so that they don't hear that much echo and that much of their own selves coming back at them, because we use, I don't know if you can see it or not, soundboards here, and they have an earpiece that they hear themselves and they hear everybody else, but because it's going through YoloBox, I'd have to send something back out, and then they're going to be hearing themselves talk back and forth. So it's going to be a little difficult to figure that out.
Well, that's exactly what I'm doing here. And the key is that I'm doing, I mean, I can, you know, I'll just go back to, let me let you go. And then that way I
Okay,
can take my camera down and I can demonstrate what I'm doing with my guest camera. Okay.
cool, thank you.
Thank you very, very much for jumping in there.
All right.
All righty. And then I can leave that show behind and let me go to my, here we go. Now I'm back in the studio, and that was the remote guest show on the YoloBox. And then if you don't want the remote guest to stay there, you can delete them. Done. Now he's really gone. All right, so let me show you a little bit more, I guess, behind the scenes of what's going on here. And I'm going to very gingerly take this off because I get three things connected to it. This is my remote guest iPhone. You can see right here, this is live. This is actually remotely connected into my show. This is live. And I have it connected. This is Lightning. You know, remember back when iPhones used to use Lightning? So I have to have a special Lightning to headphone adapter because this one doesn't have a headphone jack. Otherwise, I wouldn't even need that. So if you have an older iPhone or Android device, like, where's my phone? I have an Android device that has a headphone jack. So I could just do this natively in my Android phone, but I have to use an adapter with the iPhone. What I have here this is power. So it's powering the phone because I've got the screen on and I'm using it for a long time, and it's powering the adapter. And then I've got this audio adapter. And I'm going to disconnect this for a moment because this is important. This is a tip ring sleeve adapter. Now I'm getting feedback because, let me turn that mic off. This is a tip ring sleeve adapter. And what's happening here is, go to that. This is providing audio in to the phone via the mic sleeve, and then it's also receiving audio back from the phone through here. Then I have, keep going down the line, this is the iRig, and I don't necessarily, iRig did not pay for this. iRig did not sponsor me. I bought this off of Amazon myself with my own money. This is what I used for when I was using Switcher Studio as a production to bring in a line input from the house into my iPad for doing Switcher Studio. And so it's the same thing, audio into an iOS device. This is the path, except my iPad has a headphone jack. So this is the audio coming in from the receiver. So this is a microphone receiver. It's Electrosonics. And that audio right there is coming in right here. So the only adapting I'm doing here is I'm doing 1/8 inch or 2.5 millimeter to however many millimeters that is. So 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch. And that's what I'm doing there so that my microphone is coming into here. As I said, there's a gain on this device in addition to the gain on the receiver, in addition to the gain on the microphone. And then if you're using this for music, you can actually listen to what they call dry and wet. Listen to the sound going in or listen to the sound with the effects. And that's my headphone jack right there. And that's what I listen to. And this is, I think this is just, no, apparently this, oh yeah, there's a microphone in that. But I don't use the microphone in that one because it is just headphones for monitoring the sound coming from the iPhone. And that is the key, because what you need to do is the phone is doing the mix minus. And when the phone takes your audio, sends it to all the rest of the guests, you don't hear yourself with an echo. Actually, you don't hear yourself at all. So you can take that and feed that to in-ear monitors, which technically that's what earbuds are little in-ear monitors. They could be wired, they could be wireless. What you don't want to do is you do not want to feed the headphone out to speakers. You don't want to broadcast it in a room because then it will go back into the microphone that the other guest hears. So when they speak, it will come out the headphone jack. Then you don't want it to go back into their ears, because that's totally destroying the mix minus on their end, because every caller has mix minus. They don't hear themselves. They only hear everybody else. If you send the output of this to speakers, then the problem is going to be that it's going to go into all the microphones and go back to everybody else, and they're going to hear the person speaking and then the echo of the person speaking. And the person speaking is going to hear their own echo as well. And don't do that. This has to go to in-ear monitors in order to work properly. And that's why I have 2 sets of headphones for today's show. This set of headphones is listening to the YoloBox that is doing the program, the whole show. And this set of headphones is listening to the iPhone that is my remote guest. So that when I set this up here as my camera, now I can talk to my remote guest, and you saw the show. If you missed it, you can just go back about 7 minutes and see the interview I was able to do with a remote guest that I sent from the YoloBox using this. And as long as I remember to look at the right camera, I can then be talking to my guest. Oh, I got cables touching the screen, sorry. I can then speak to my guest, and I can see them on that screen too. Again, here, let me bring that down again and look over top. Yeah, it's scrolling all over the place. You you see yourself. This is my own camera view, but then I see the program. So that if I wanted to take this show, let's just say I'm going to do a pre-show video. Just wait for it, there we go. Wait for it. It's got to load all the videos. I really don't have that many videos. Done. Then, when I play this video, the remote guest sees and they hear it. So I can have a countdown. I can do the whole show from here. Everybody gets to hear the show with the music. And then when I cut to the person, there they are. And they're able to be part of the show. So I hope that really does help people understand that, yes, the YoloBox itself does not do mix minus. But Martin Anderson says, your audio was crackling when you had remote guest on screen. Remote guest audio was fine. When guest left, your audio was fine again. Yes, I've actually had that when I was testing this, because I test these shows too. Remember, my 12 rules, test. I tested this, and I would find that when I was connected, if I left it connected for 15 or so minutes or something like that, crackling would start to occur. And is it my transmitter? Is it the receiver? Is it the gain? And I swapped out microphones. I swapped out cables and everything. Eventually, I refreshed the browser and it went away. So I don't know if it's a phone issue. The phone is getting, it's warm, but I don't think I'm really overusing the capabilities of the phone. But for whatever reason, when I refresh the connection on the phone, it's gone. So it's not a hardware issue. It's not a YoloBox issue, because I didn't change anything with the YoloBox. But when I refresh the phone, and that's an iPhone, what are we on, 15? 12. I think it's a 12. So it's not that old. But for whatever reason, it gets a little confluxed and does not like being part of a guest or being part of the show for so long. And then the audio gets a little, and if I refresh the browser on the phone, changing no connections, changing nothing with the YoloBox, the audio is good. So maybe a newer iPhone might work better. Maybe the Pro might work better. Maybe an Android device might work better. A newer device might work better. I don't know. Mason Web TV says, I used the remote guest feature to send audio to a radio station. It worked well. That was an interesting way of doing it. John Briggs Elias and Luya, good to see people from Kenya here. Yeah, definitely. I got a whole bunch of people coming in. And a bunch of people started to mention that the mic started crackling. And that's the reason I have two sets of headphones. Because if I'm listening to just the remote guest while I'm talking to them, any number of guests, I'm not able to hear myself. I would need a second set of headphones on the iPad or on the tablet that I am doing the show on to be able to hear that my own audio is good as the remote guest. Because again, if you listen from the phone, you're not going to hear your own audio. The only way you're going to hear your own audio as a guest is to have a set of headphones in the iPad, in the YoloBox tablet, so that you can hear everybody. Because when you do a remote show with remote guests, the only thing you're not going to hear is yourself. Anything else you play, any videos you play, countdown timer music, or any of the other guests, anything that comes up, you're going to be able to hear that in the phone that you have connected as your remote, as your own camera. But you're not going to be able to hear yourself. So we can hear from the comments that from this show, it is important to test, make sure that whatever camera or phone you're going to use as your local remote camera is stable and is able to handle it. Maybe I need to use a different browser. I use the Safari browser. Maybe Chrome would have been a better browser. Maybe the Brave browser would have been a better browser. Firefox. There's any number of solutions that one can work on to find the magic bullet that works for them, because what works for one person on one phone in one area might not work for someone else. That's the magic of the internet. That is the magic of doing remote work like this. Focusrite Scarlets have the same problem. And that is a nice piece of gear. The Focusrite Scarlet, I have one. I have the 2. That is a nice piece of gear. And if the Focusrite has a problem with, it's definitely not the YoloBox. It's definitely not my iPhone. It's not my Electrosonics. It's not my 20-year-old microphone operating on the VHF spectrum. Why? Because VHF still works. Focusrite, here he said, Robert Lincoln says, you need a restart and a refresh. Yes, and that is what I found on the iPhone is if I refresh it, if I refresh the browser, yes, I lose the connection, then it comes back. If I refresh the browser, then all of a sudden the audio is just perfectly fine. I don't know what gets kafluxed and messed up in over the course of time, little bits just not working right, but whatever, it doesn't work perfectly forever. So that might beg more work. Because working on iPad didn't work on my iPad. Oh well. So I hope this has helped people today understand how they can bring remote guests into the YoloBox. And remember also, the remote guest doesn't just have to be a remote guest. If you are doing a sporting event and you need a camera at the end of the field, or if you're up in the box, excuse me, and you want to get an interview from the sideline, you can have somebody with a cell phone and a microphone. I mean, because this could just as well be a hand mic, and they could call in as a remote guest and be like, you know, hey coach, what was the thing that made that play work? Blah 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 blah. All right, thank you very much. Back to the show. All done with the remote guest feature. You know, or if you just wanted to have a camera from another city, you know, if you're doing a bike race and it goes for 10 kilometers, you can have a bunch of people at different places with dialing in as remote guests and then just bring them in as cameras. So the remote guest feature that is built into the YoloBox, and again, does not need a computer to work. You can send the invitations directly from the YoloBox. That enables you to bring in not just remote guests for discussions where you need to work out the audio, but also remote cameras. So I hope today's show has been helpful for people. My name is Anthony Barogas. I create the English language content for YoloLive. I am based in the Dallas area of Texas. I do this, and I also write for, I can't even get to it today, so much stuff from today's show. I write for Streaming Media Magazine, and I do other gear reviews and things like that. I do streaming production all over the place. Are watching on YouTube, know that, oops, sorry about that. If you're watching on YouTube, know that there's an official YoloLive user group on Facebook where users share their assistance, and even YoloLive itself has representatives that come in and ask questions, answer questions, and things like that. And now it's just bringing up titles by itself. And if you need, go away. To contact YoloLive, that's the contact at YoloLive. That's the it's scrolling by itself now too. Wish I had a camera on that. And lastly, if you speak Spanish as your native language, there's a YoloBox in Espanol group to enable easier communication within the Spanish language. With that, I will bring today's show to a close. I appreciate you all being here, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care.